So welcome everyone. Today we are talking about the chances of far-fetched dreams. And I wanted to start off with a quote from Anais Nin. And her quote is something that we've heard before, but I think it's worth retreading because it sits well with the soul. And the quote is, "And the day came when the risk to remain tight in the bud was more painful than the risk it took to bloom." And I think we love this quote because it does ring in our soul, and it reminds us that we are actually here to expand. We are here to bloom, and that the very root of our being, our ability to bloom, benefits the whole garden. It's not just a solo show. Everyone benefits everyone. And that the whole garden is actually invested in our most organic and majestic expressions. So before we hit record, Clive was talking to David about music, and, it's just like watching one musician honor another musician. That's what it's all about. Watching Sherry honor me, watching me honor Sherry. That's what it's all about. That's the foundation from which all dreams are possible. And when I mean dreams, I mean desires, joyful expectancies that come from the soul. So basically, we're supported and we're supplied, and we demonstrate our trust in this support and supply by giving ourselves a chance. And it's easy to doubt, and it's hard to remember that we are so much more powerful and possible than our egos want to give us credit for. But right now, we are living in far-fetched dreams of yesterday. The innovations and the advancements that we've each benefit from every day on the daily were at one time inconceivable just a few years ago. Like right now, you and I can take a recording, a video with our phones, and then we can edit it on the phone. And it is the same high quality that, maybe a decade ago, you would have needed $1 million budget for. And I know this because my husband and I are filmmakers, and we actually shot a film on actual film, and it was edited on a beta. I mean, it was like old school before digital. And now it's incredible what we can do. We have the ability to clickety-click on the computer, and anything our heart's desires can show up at our door a few days later. What the heck? That's where we're living right now. We have electric cars. We're on the cusp of having self-driving cars. I don't even know what that will look like. We have everyday men going to the moon, everyday women going to the moon. So these far-fetched dreams have not only been conceived in our lifetime, but actually delivered in form, because someone took a chance. Someone said, hey, time to bloom. Someone decided to step out of the box and bring forth what was once unimaginable. And so I thought it might be helpful to note on a personal level areas of our life where we're living in our far-fetched dreams from yesterday, in hopes of maybe expanding our awareness and willingness to step in and to give the impossible a chance. Basically exercising our right to fearlessness and faithfulness, to kindness and to love. Because right now there are things that you and I have taken for granted in this very moment, that just seem like everyday and ordinary, and that only a few years ago would have been absolutely inconceivable and out of reach and out of our wheelhouse. For example, when we first started SpeakEasy, Carol was there in the very beginning, and we would every once in a while do a retreat, a local retreat. And the far-fetched dream for SpeakEasy was to an international retreat, but that just seemed out of question. Adriana mentioned that we're doing a retreat down in Florida with Mickey Singer and with the Celtic Festival, and it's going to be amazing. But we never really branched outside of the States until somebody said, let's take a chance. Let's just do it. And then this past fall, we crossed the pond, we went over to Ireland, and then what was once a dream then became a reality. And now here's the thing. You take a chance, and then once you take that chance, what happens is that the chance takes you. So it happens every time. It happens too often for me to even believe in chances anymore. And of course, A Miracle says there are no chances. There are no chance encounters is actually what it says. on this retreat that we took in Ireland, I remember that we took the chance and then the chance took us because magic showed up in a way and up-leveled the retreat in ways that we had not planned. Like we found ourselves dancing and singing in the town square. That was not on the menu. And we sat around with this band, they were playing, and the drummer got up and left and said, whoever wants to play the drum can play the drum. And the drum sat there pretty empty for a while. And I was like, somebody should play the drum. And so I saw myself walk over and sit down and play the drum in this band. Now, I don't know how to play the drum, but I did not let that stop me. And I'm telling you that because we all need to be reminded of the mystical muse that can step in, and that is stepping in all the time, literally leaning in for us. And the world loves to honor the brave and the curious, you know, the generous souls that take a chance. And when we were in Ireland, we also got to drink hot cocoa with mermaids. And by mermaids, I mean, we got into the cold water. And when we got there, we found a whole group of other women and men who were in the water. And they were praying. And we're like, oh my God, we found our tribe. They were praying in the freezing cold water. And apparently they did that every day. And when we were done, they invited us out to hot cocoa. And I thought, well, this is, and they treated us. And I was like, this is a treat and a treat and a treat. So we found ourselves amidst mermaids. I mean, that can only happen when you begin to take a chance. Now, here's the thing. We took the chance by going on the retreat. We took the chance by getting into the water, and then the chance took us. And we ended up in this chance encounter. But the Course of Miracles, I just want to repeat this again, says there are no chance encounters. And I believe that this is true with every cell of my body and fiber of my being, that all things are gently planned by one who knows our highest good. It's so gentle, in fact, that this one that plans our highest good gives us the ability to decide if we want to chance it or if we want to stay tight in the bud. Like, that's how generous our source is. And it's hard to imagine that you are the only one responsible for your experience. And it's really easy not to judge or blame the circumstances of your life for the responsibility of your experience. But if you've ever been the guy who's picked last on the game, you know, who's sitting on the bench and who's gotten to be picked last. I was a terrible athlete as a kid. I always got picked last. It was mortifying. It was horrifying. That's one level of, you know, horrific experience when you get picked last. But the greater devastation happens when we are remiss in taking a chance on ourselves, when we pick ourselves last. And we punish ourselves by leaving our dreams in a lockbox and ignoring our soul calling. And let me be honest with you, the soul calling can seem frivolous, like going to Ireland. But the soul calling serves everyone. Those mermaids we met, they were beguiled and bedazzled as much as we were beguiled and bedazzled to meet them. So the one thing that holds us back is fear every single time. But fear is nothing to fear. I know that sounds absolutely, you know, profound. Fear is nothing to fear. And yet it's the truth. Think of the things that you're most proud of. They have often come from the willingness to lean into life and not fear. Just like love and fear can't be compatible, life and fear are not very compatible. Life requires that we step outside of our comfort zones. Nothing good happens in the comfort zone. But in stepping out of the comfort zone, it's going to take chance to feel into it. And when we step into or out of the comfort zone, it's going to feel uncomfortable. That's, you know, that's the whole thing about the comfort zone. It feels comfortable, even though it's not a safe place at all for the soul. The only thing that's worse than the discomfort of leaving the comfort zone is not leaving the comfort zone. So when I first saw that abandoned drum set, you know, it was actually just one drum, I think, sitting in the square in Ireland, I thought, how uncomfortable would it be for me to sit at the drum and play? And how uncomfortable would it be for me to sit here and watch that drum go empty? And so I got up. This happens a lot in our life. I remember I was facilitating a wedding for my niece, and I was there just to facilitate the wedding, but it was one of those weddings where it was all hands on deck and everybody was supposed to pitch in. And I found myself in this team of people that was also responsible for putting together the flower arrangements. And I remember thinking, I'm going to screw this up. I've never done flower arrangements before. I don't know how to do this. And then I, been around the Course in Miracles for a little too long not to continue with that thought. And so my next thought was, what if I'm really good at it? Well, isn't that a nicer thought? Turns out I wasn't bad. I didn't screw it up. The most effective borderline bullies that keep you in your comfort zone and keep you tight in the bud are the ones in your head. These are the insane blocks that prevent us from even taking a chance. And this blocking that we do is so unkind to our souls. Our souls, they love to stretch. They love to move. Our souls love to dance. Our souls love to try new things. Our souls love to test the boundaries, because our souls know that boundaries are a part of the illusion. In A Course in Miracles, there's a section that says, all power and glory are yours because the kingdom is his. This is what it means by that. It says, the will of God is without limits, and all the power and all the glory lies within it. All of it lies within God's will. It says it is boundless in strength and love and peace. It has no boundaries because its extension is unlimited, and it encompasses all things because it creates all things. And by creating all things, it made them part of itself. You are the will of God because this is how you were created. Because your creator creates only like himself, you are like him. You are part of him, who is all powerful and glory, and therefore as you are as unlimited as God is. That's a lot of words for a simple concept. And the simple concept, the cliff notes to that is, you are Christ, this is heaven. You are Christ, this is heaven. And I know the ego is going to hear that and think, I'm not Christ. You are Christ potential and waiting to be given a chance. You are Christ potential waiting to be given a chance. That's who we are. And when we see Jesus as an example of Christ consciousness, the man didn't, shy away from chances. He took major chances in love. He did not play it safe as a master teacher. He raised the dead. He walked on water. He turned, water into wine. He healed the sick. His ability to honor that Christ consciousness within him allowed him to bloom in ways that we still think is impossible for us. And yet he said, this and greater things shall you do. There's a million of examples of it. These are some of my favorites. Muhammad Ali. I once did a whole sermon on Muhammad Ali. That man is amazing. But he was an Olympic gold medalist. He was a heavyweight boxer. And he was, he had just so much charm and charisma. But in 1966, his greatest fight was the one he didn't, which was when he refused to be drafted in the military because of his spiritual beliefs. And he didn't get in the ring for more than 4 years because of that decision. He was fighting, the government around being put into jail. He didn't end up getting into jail, but he did lose 4 years of his career at a peak time. But the risk that he took paid off, because it paid off in spades for our entire world, because we got to see this, African-American man standing in his truth. And for that, it gave us so much hope, hope to the millions of people who didn't believe that they had a chance. RuPaul is also one of my other favorite people. If you don't know that about me, she is one of my favorites. And again, he takes this chance to live in his truth, and he becomes, the #1 drag queen in the United States. And he gives like this powerful, positive message to the LGBTQ community. Again, this is when chance doesn't just serve ego, it serves everyone. We have Rosa Parks, we have Harriet Tubman, we have Dolly Parton, we have Ellen DeGeneres, we have Harvey Milk, Martin Luther King, Amelia Earhart, Cesar Chavez, people who did not stay tight in the bud because they couldn't, because they were pushed by pain and then pulled by vision. And that's how we want to live our lives, in an optimal way. We're not the exception, and they're not the exception. And their gospel, each and every single one of them, is don't leave your life half lived. Take a chance. Speak to your soul. Listen to your soul. Let yourself lean into the life-giving experience that your soul is seeking to experience. We keep ourselves really small and safe and sedate, but our souls, like I said, are wild. You know, they crave the unplanned, the unmanicured, the spontaneous. Our souls like long for the challenge. Our souls want to cut its own path. The soul is the way shower. Just like Jesus, you know, totally cut a whole new path. We were like, is that even possible? Are you allowed to do that? You know, and I see that, you know, I see that place where, you know, that fear meets up with chance. And sometimes fear just squelches it. I see this when I get people on stage at Voice Box, which by the way is this Tuesday. So if you're in the Chicago area, come on out to the show at Fitzgerald's. But what I see is when I get people up on the stage to tell stories, thrill and fear wrestle each other for the driver's seat. Thrill and fear. And fear will say, I'm not a storyteller. I don't know how to do that. And thrill will say, I don't know if I can do that, but I want to try. And it's beautiful when thrill wins that race. It's beautiful when thrill wins that wrestling. So as we step to the cusp of the unknown, of the limitless nature of our being, there is a threshold that we will need to go through that will require that we a little bit more thrilling and willing version of ourselves. But we're up for it, I think. I think we're up for it. I think we're up to know that I am thrilling and willing to honor my soul calling. A version of myself that says, hey, you know what, this guy, you know, this guy's worth taking the risk on. This guy deserves a chance. This guy might know how to play the drums. He might not, but he is definitely not going to die on the vine. That's the truth about this guy. And that is you, and that is me. And that is not only how we want to see ourselves, but that's how we want to see each other. Encouragement strengthens people taking a chance. So it's really good to be around people who encourage that. The world is filled with naysayers who have never gone anywhere, but they know about everything. So don't do that to yourself. Listen to your soul instead. When we give our soul the generosity of a chance, doors open where there once were walls. We say that every day. And I think about the story that Colm told us when he first started his business. He got a business card made and he put himself out there. And then he told us, in starting this amazing business in Ireland, he told us that he had a chance encounter. It wasn't a chance encounter. A chance encounter is preordained for your soul. The chance encounter is happening all the time. The universe is seeking for ways to conspire for your highest good. Like it did this morning with the two musicians. There's a story about Anthony Hopkins that I really love, where Anthony Hopkins, the American actor who got this job in a movie that was called The Girl of Petrovic. And he was looking for the book because the movie was based on a book. So he went around looking for this book and he couldn't find it anywhere. And he had spent the whole day looking and looking, and he finally got on the train where he was waiting for the train. And he looked down next to him on the seat, and there was a copy of the book of The Girl of Petrovic. And he was like, what the heck? This is amazing. And he went to the director and he's like, you will not believe what happened. I found this book, you know, for the movie that we're going to make. And the director was like, you found it? It's sitting next to you. Yes. And the director said, this is so strange. He's like, you want to hear something? I had a book like that. I had a copy of it. When I first started thinking about this film that I wanted to make that you're now cast in, I took that book and I wrote so many notes in it, so many annotations of ideas that I had. He goes, but I lent it to a friend of mine and she lost it. And the actor, Anthony Hopkins, said, well, this book has a lot of notations in it. And he handed it to the director and it was his book. What are the chances? So this is something that Julia Cameron shows us in The Artist Way. By the way, we're doing The Artist Way. I know that we announced that already, but We're doing that as a community, moving through these 12 weeks with Julia Cameron in this amazing book that helps us to unearth. And I love the people in our community. I love all the people that are signing up, and not only the people who are signing up, but the people who are signing up other people. That's so beautiful that you're not only taking a chance on yourself to go on this ride to unearth your creativity, but like signing up a friend like Chris did for Liliana. Hot. Like, that's just hot. Chance is generous. If you want a notorious life, a life worth taking note of, be generous with yourself, be generous with your soul, be generous with others. The world will conspire to support you if you do this. And notice where you're withholding, and notice where you're stingy, and notice where you're suspicious. I spent many years being very suspicious of everything. It didn't get me very far at all. But you can open the floodgates of good fortune with generosity, for sure. I was once shopping for rattan chairs. I saw them. I really loved them. I wanted them, and they were kind of expensive. And I made this like little wish, like I wish someone would just give me some rattan chairs. And the next day on Facebook, my husband and I were up on the island. Somebody posted, "I'm giving away everything in my home." And come and get it. And I was like, oh my God, I bet she has some rattan chairs there. This is the universe answering me. But I had a volunteer position. I was volunteering at this place on the island where you can drop off clothes and drop off bikes and house goods, and then you can take whatever you want. It's this amazing thing called the exchange. Nobody has to pay for anything. And I volunteer there in the summertime. So I convinced my husband to go to the free for all sale, which was a miracle because he doesn't do anything like that. And he's like, I'll go. And I was like, okay, get some lamps. And if you see any rattan chairs, bring them back for me. So I go off to my volunteer position, and I'm standing there after a couple of hours. And this woman pulls up with a truck, and she says, "Do you guys take furniture?" And my boss at the time said, "No." And she said, "Okay, we only take, clothes and household goods." And she said, "Because I have these rattan chairs." I'm not kidding you. And I was like, "Excuse me, I will take rattan chairs." And I opened my trunk, and she slipped them right in. It was amazing. Like, you can't write that. Like, what are the chances? But if there are chances like this happening in the world, how can we open ourselves up to them? Because they are happening. I mean, me and Anthony Hopkins can't be God's favorite, right? You also have 1,000 stories, I'm sure, like where you have crossed synchronicities. So I wanted to share one last story with you because I think it's one of my favorites. My sister Joni's here, and she told me this story actually about our cousin who was trying to have a baby for a long time. And him and his wife were not successful. So they went to an adoption agency, and the adoption agency said to them, it's going to take a little while, maybe a couple of years before you get a baby, but we'll send you out on appointments so that you can, practice going on these interviews. And so my cousin went out on the first interview, and the mother of the child that was being adopted said to him, after many questions, she said, "What's your favorite color?" And he said, "Blue." And she said, "Why?" And he said, "Because it's God's favorite color." This story makes me cry. It's God's favorite color because that's the color of the sky. And before the day was over, the paperwork was signed, and before the week was ended, the baby was in their home. See, my cousin didn't know that at the very same time, the mother's grandmother, the mother's mother, was knitting a blanket, and she had looked at her mother knitting that blanket, and it was blue. And she said, "Mom, why are you knitting this blanket for the baby? You know we're not keeping the baby, and why are you making it blue? We don't know if it's a boy or a girl." And the grandmother said, "Well, I'm making it blue because it's God's favorite color. That's why the sky's blue." What are the chances? So now, at the risk of sounding like the encyclopedia of a chicken soup for the soul, I will not tell you any more stories. I will leave that for you for the conversation. But I will say that this book, Julia Cameron, Artist's Way, it talks about these synchronicities all the time. And the more you talk about them, what is it? Well, what you focus on increases. You make yourself available for these types of synchronicities. And she says answered prayer is a responsibility, because once a prayer gets answered, it's kind of saying to you, okay, I'm answering your prayer, and now what? What are you going to do with that? Are you going to close the door again? Are you going to close your heart? Or are you going to let yourself step in? And we get to decide, are our souls worth listening to? Are we worth the chance? As I mentioned, there's many reasons that we might want to stay tight in the bud. I'm not worth the time? What if I embarrass myself in front of everybody? Maybe they'll find out I don't know how to play the drums. What if I lose the money I invested? What if I open my heart and I get rejected? What if I'm not good enough? What if what if I, all kinds of what if I. But all of that is nonsense. And my good friend and our dear friend at SpeakEasy, Linda Fasacki, has given us a powerhouse prayer, which is just one word. And her prayer is enough. Enough, enough, enough. You are enough. You have enough. And there is more than enough time to feed your soul and fulfill your calling. Wayne Gretzky says, you will miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You will miss 100% of the times you don't try. Why would we give ourselves such terrible odds? So today we're on the cusp of the Lunar New Year, another chance to put past anything of old ideas and begin to usher in new possibilities, a very fertile time. We're moving from the year of the tiger to the year of the rabbit. And so we can expect a softer side, maybe more gentleness. And this rabbit icon, this rabbit is perfect escort for us as we move through this year of kindness at SpeakEasy. And as the lure goes, the rabbit is among the 12 animals who raced to the Jade Emperor in the cosmic contest that ultimately determined the order of Chinese zodiac signs. The rabbit was not a great swimmer in this race, but he gave himself the chance by using a raft. So the rabbit is very clever. And the rabbit also symbolizes rebirth. So the questions as we move into the conversation are, what is rebirthing in your life? What are you willing to resuscitate? And what is returning to be given a second chance? And finally, the rabbit is known for luck, the lucky rabbit's foot. And so as we move into the conversation, I would love to hear about your chance encounters, but I really want to remind us all this week that luck most often follows those who are willing to take a chance. And that's the word.
Thank you, Maureen. That was amazing, stimulating, so many verbs. This should be a fantastic conversation. So now it's time for the truly unique experience of SpeakEasy Sunday service, our community conversation. But first, we're going to hear from Clive, who will lead us in a community offering.
Right. Okay. Yes, thank you, Maureen. That's the perfect speech, as ever. SpeakEasy is a non-for-profit community, and we exist on the generosity of our community members. We thank you for playing your part and for taking the opportunity to make a donation for today's daily bread. Your generous donations help us bring spiritual leaders, artists, and speakers to Sunday service and keep important conversations going. And so today I invite you to go within, see what is yours to share. The donation link is in the chat, as well as on our bio website, SpeakEasySpiritualCommunity.com. Thank you for your generous support.
Thank you, Clive. This is where we invite you to speak easily, to find your voice and your truth, and share your thoughts, inspirations, awareness, and your questions in the community. When you feel called to share a question or comment, please raise your virtual hand, which is located in the Reactions tab at the bottom of your screen. Please also note to leave your video on when doing so, as we want to know and see you. And I'll get us started. Maureen, I enjoyed this conversation, as I enjoy all of your, you just pick a word and make it so real. And the first thing I had written down as you started speaking was that the only chances I have missed are the ones that I did not take, which is something that I had never put in one sentence before. But I have to ask you, could you expound just a little bit more on how life and fear are not compatible?
Oh, yeah. Well, love is synonymous with life. When we went to, the mythology of the Garden of Good and Evil, the Garden of Eden, where there's the two trees. One is good and evil, and one is the life. And so we continue to, live under this dis-ease of duality. There's good and evil. There's no good and evil. It's only life. There's no good and evil. It's only love. There's no good and evil. It's only light. So those things are all synonymous. It's really hard for us to move out of that addiction and disease of duality because it allows us to be separate. But when in regards to like taking a chance, when we allow ourselves to move into the acceptance of synchronicities and that the world is that love is working on our behalf, we don't just do it from that duality of I want to get mine and I can't wait to win, but from this is going to serve everyone. This is for everyone. And so that's so life-giving, isn't it? I mean, it just feels vital. It feels so much more vital than I'm going to get my own. And I'm going to get my own. You might arrive at your destination, but it won't be as joyful, So that's what I'd say about that.
Oh, great. I have a note here from Gigi. I remember the aha moment when I realized that people were canceling on me because I cancel on myself. People weren't showing up for me because I didn't show up for myself. And when that happened, that knowing, Maureen Muldoon and SpeakEasy showed up. Thank you for that, Gigi.
Were we a chance encounter that was pre-planned? You feel that because when you meet people, when you're in that awareness, everyone starts to look familiar. You go, wait, did we meet already? You look so familiar to me. So Sherry, you and I, we got to actually meet in person. But I was like, oh, how do I not know Sherry? I've always known Sherry. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I came to the community with like a chance encounter. So that may be how many people show up. Dove says, we live in a sea of synchronicity within an ocean of love.
Yeah. I remember I made a Canva for him one time when I heard that quote. I think he still uses it. We live in a sea of synchronicity and an ocean of love. It's a great quote, Dove. Yeah. Imagine if we actually, we hear these words and they live on the surface, but imagine if we really embodied the idea that we live in a sea of synchronicity and an ocean of love, which would be an embodiment of that one paragraph in the Course in Miracles that everybody loves. What would you but do if you but knew everything was gently planned by one who knows your highest good? Like everything is gently planned. Which, again, it might seem like, well, did God plan this cancer? As somebody who's been through cancer, I know that was something that my soul needed. My soul needed that for my spiritual evolution. And that particular classroom I probably could have gone a kinder way, but the cancer was a part of my fear. And so I got to learn how to be more fearless through going through that.
That's a good perspective. Anyone can put their hand up. I have another question though. Maureen and then Clyde. I kind of told myself when I was young, I don't know where I have read so many books that I can't tell you where I pull information from, but I just decided that if an idea came to me of something that I needed to do as a career or a profession or just to try something, to do it because I believed that God would not tell me to do something that was not mine to do. Yeah. And when I say that, it's like he's never asked me to fly a plane. So I've never had an interest in flying a plane. He's never asked me to swim the ocean, those kinds of things. But the things that that I feel are placed in my mind to do, I go after them. because I believe that you're given the things that you're given in your thinking, and I'm probably using the wrong words, but the things that are for you, that what is for you will come to you.
Yes.
I guess that's a better way of putting it.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. If it's for you, it will be easy. And if it's not easy, you're probably making a special altar out of it. So, like when I went into acting, it was for me. I booked my 3rd audition. I was flying first class. I had not a clue. I had no clue what I was doing. Then I started making it special. And then I started making it my God. Then it became less enjoyable. It was still for me, but I was, doing this with it instead of like, if it's mine, it's mine. If it's not, it's fine.
Yeah.
And so, so that's what I'd say about that.
Thank you. Clive, did you have a question?
Not so much a question as a chance encounter, as in a way that a sort of synchronicity thing. I think I've told Maureen in a couple of this. It was about me and Sarah, that when just before we got married 3 years ago, I found a magazine in my mother's basement. And this magazine, it was a magazine that I'd been sent in my early 20s when I was in London. And this magazine, I got this magazine, and I said, I was at my mother's house, and I got it out, and I thought, oh, I remember this magazine. And I looked at it and said, oh, it was printed in Ireland. I looked at it and it said Limerick. I thought, that's a bit of a coincidence. That's where Mia's from. So I did a Skype call with her that evening, and I said, do you know this magazine came from Limerick? Like that. And she said, yeah. Who, can you look at it and says, who printed that? And I said who it was. And she said, do you know who printed that? She said, that was my father. And said, so when she was about 15, her father printed that magazine. It got sent to my house in London. And then 35 years later, I married his daughter.
Wow.
What are the chances?
And that is just amazing. And then since then, I've always, and now Mia, it's just so natural to be with her. It's like it was always meant to be, there's just no question of it. And that was just sort of validating it, I think. And actually before that, 2 years before that, my sister went to stay, she went to a course in Ireland, went from Bristol in England to a course in Ireland. She stayed with somebody in their house. Someone said, oh, you can come and stay at their house. And it was Mia's mother who offered that house, the room. And she stayed with Mia's mother 2 years before I met Mia. And that's there's one house in Ireland to stay in, it's hers.
And Clive, those are the ones we know of.
Oh yeah.
Like, what are the ones we don't know of? You know what I mean? Like all the other crossovers and near misses, and it's just so beautiful.
Yeah, and I think, as you say, it's not like a chance encounter. It just feels, the more they happen, they just feel like they are like, probabilities. They're just waiting to happen. They're not, it's just waiting for us to discover them, us to step into it, rather than to to sort of stumble on it, I think.
Yeah. I thought you were going to tell the story about how you and Mia went over to see a wise man, and you didn't get a ticket or something happened. And so you just hung out in a rickshaw and got a couple of drinks or something. And then someone tapped you on the shoulder and said, hey, come with me. There's a private audience, and you're going to get a private audience with this guy and they drove you. And it was, what is the chances?
Yeah, that was amazing. Grab me, coming with me.
Uh-huh. I remember when I was little and my mom was sick, and I saw this thing for Yugoslavia where the Blessed Mother was having apparitions. And I remember thinking, I want to go there. And before like 10 years was up, or even 5 years, somebody offered me a free ticket to go see the Blessed Mother in Yugoslavia. Wow. Sometimes these little desires are postcards from the future that we're supposed to pay attention to.
I love that. Postcards from the future. Perfect. Justine has her hand up.
Hi, Justine.
Hi, guys. I love this conversation because I think this is so important that we just stay aware and open to the whispers of our soul that are these chances. And I wanted to share this, again, it's not so much a question, but it's really a gratitude statement for, again, just having this conversation to get us aware of those whispers. I'm going today to something called Ecstatic Dance in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you guys, they do it in different places, but it's so much fun. And I went, I think the first time, just a couple months ago, the first time ever. And I've been admiring from afar this meditation teacher, Justin Michael Williams, who I am definitely going to get here at SpeakEsy. He's a singer, blah, blah, blah. So 2 years ago, I started listening to meditations and I thought someday I'm going to meet this guy. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'm doing some of his other programs, and he posted on his Instagram about ecstatic dance. And I said, "Are you going?" And he said, "Yes, I'll be there." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm going, and I'm going to meet him on the beach with my headphones on." And literally that's what happened. We were dancing, and then there he was, this person that I'd only seen online. We had this moment. Amazing day. There was a woman there that was dancing around him. I said, "Are you a friend of Justin's?" She's like, "No, I just met him, and I'm a singer with the Brothers Quorum." And I said, "Where are you from? Do you live in LA?" She said, "No, I live in the Berkshires. I'm a yoga teacher." I said, "Oh, that's weird, because I'm going to the Berkshires on Tuesday." And she's like, "Well, I'm teaching a workshop there this weekend." Fantastic. So I was like, okay. And then all these things are happening. It's ecstatic dance. Everyone's dancing on the beach. Whole thing's over. We all say goodbye to each other. And I turn to my left, and there's a man standing there with a beard. And I look at him and I said, "Yoel?" And he said, "Hi, Justine. This is my cousin from Israel, who I met in Poland on a Polish roots trip 5 years ago, and I have not seen him since." And he's now standing next to me on the beach. And I was like, okay, I guess I was really supposed to. And I almost didn't go that day. I was going by myself. I was like, "Nope, you just have to go there. I don't know why." And it's like following those breadcrumbs, how I came here, how I met Mia. I went to Ireland. I've always wanted to go to Ireland. I didn't know a path to Ireland, and she and Clive, really paved that path for me and helped us plan that trip with my boys. So the whole thing, like, that is living those chances. And I just thank you for the reminder, and for us all to think about those things, because sometimes they happen and then we put them away and then we forget about them.
Yeah.
It's important to remember.
Yeah, I think it is important to remember. And it's important to, I remember a client of mine was like, "I really want to find a guy. I really want to date someone." And at the time, there weren't really too many of the swipe left things. And I was like, "Dude, you got to get out of your house, because the chances of a man walking in here while you're sitting on your couch in your pajamas are really, really low." But that's sort of true for everything in good in life. Like, you have to show up. You got to show up. You got to put your camera on. You got to use your voice. You got to take a chance. You got to let yourself be known. You got to let yourself hear your own voice. This is a short little scientific experiment on this fun little marble for a very short time. And we get to play here. And that's what's going to bring, again, benefit for you and me while we're here playing.
Yes.
Sonia wanted to share.
Yeah.
Hi. So this is my first time I'm sharing and on video, because I'm taking a chance too, because I've lived off camera in a virtual world for a long time. And this is my year to really kind of step out. Anyways, this is new for me, but I love the topic, and I wanted to share about something that just occurred. And it's, so I make granola every year for my friends. And on Thanksgiving, I pass out granola. And I always thought my granola is keto friendly, mostly nuts. And because I can't find good granola in the store. And that's what started it, is I was on a keto diet and I could not find, I'm one of these taste testers. I like to find the best. And if I can't, I keep looking. So I just figured I'd make my own, and I perfected this recipe, and I give it out to my friends. Anyway, and every time my friends would get it, they go, "Oh my God, this is such good granola. This is better than any in the store." And I always thought, wow, it would be really cool to see if I could go someplace with this granola. And a friend of mine was talking about manufacturing her, getting someone to manufacture her salad dressing. And that was just a chance encounter of a friend of mine doing the same thing. I had no idea, but it was just in my mind. And then I'd send it out and they go, "Where can I buy this?" And I didn't have any idea in my mind about how to do this, or, I just thought, wouldn't it be cool? And then I get a call at Christmas. I'm driving to LA, and I get a friend. I had given I would give them out for Christmas, birthday, whatever, around the holidays though. And I had given her one, and she works in a wellness clinic as a chiropractor in Marin. I'm in Northern California, and Marin is more of a, a wealthy community. And the place she works is kind of like a high-end boutique clothing store / wellness center. They offer Reiki and chiropractic and salt, Himalayan salt stuff. Anyway, so she calls me on my way to LA, and she says, "Do you want feedback on your granola?" And I'm thinking something negative, like, "Oh my God, the cacao nib broke her tooth," or something. I'm nervous about feedback on my granola. And she said, so I brought it into work with me, and the owner loved it. She was like raving about it and goes, "Oh my God, where did you get this granola? We have to sell this in our store. This would fly off the shelves. Who is this person?" And so today I'm meeting my friend who we're talking about getting my granola in this boutique little health clinic. And I didn't have to do a damn thing. It's kind of like it all came to me. And I love how that happens, because every time I think, I'm doing some work with a spiritual practitioner about, God is, I am, God is doing my life. And when I look at every decision I made, there was always, the decision came to me and I just acted on it. And so it's kind of like all I need to do is show up and follow the next impulse.
Because God answers prayer in 3 ways. God says, yes, of course, everyone would love your granola. Or, not right now, the granola is still cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I have something even better for you. You're going to do granola bars, or you're going to do blah, 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 blah. But God always answers prayers in 3 ways. So you don't have to force anything. The most that the universe asks you to do is to be patient.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Sonia, for sharing.
Yeah,
Maureen,
thanks.
that was a beautiful answer.
And
Thank you.
I love granola, especially when there's dried cherries.
I'll make note of that.
I'm a good taste tester. Anybody else have anything they want to share before we have another song? Yeah, Heather.
Yeah, hi, good morning. I'm so glad I was able to tune in today. What a great group of people and discussion. So on that thought, you said God answers prayer in 3 ways. But ever since I started kind of following the lesson 135, what do you not understand, that everything has been perfectly planned for you, I kind of stopped asking for anything. I mean, I never like to ask for help or anything from anyone anyway. So I kind of feel like, do I really need to ask? Why don't I just let him drive the bus? So I don't ask for anything anymore. So I don't pray a whole lot. I pray for people, but should I be asking for things? Should I be praying for things? Because I don't think I really know what's best for me.
Yeah, so that's exactly what we should be praying for, is to, to where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say? That's a prayer. That's a daily prayer. That could be a minute by minute prayer. And it sounds like you're in that prayer, that you're living that prayer, that you're saying, I don't know what anything is for. I don't know my own best interest. And then whatever is at hand, be 100% with what is at hand. And if you combine those two things of loving what is and then staying guidable, you know, that's living a prayer. You might still find that sometimes you get slippery or hung up or caught by something that you want to be different. And then, you know, then you can go back to, you know, a surrender prayer or whatever prayers might be most helpful to you. But,
I just ask for miracles now. So like if my husband's being a jerk, I'll just say, I need a miracle right now. I don't say, I need him to stop being irrational. I need to forgive him. I just say, I need a help. I need a miracle. That's all I say.
help is a great prayer.
And then it happens. So but I don't specifically ask for anything anymore. I'm just going to get in the back seat and shut my mouth and let God drive.
Well, you know, get in the back seat. No need to shut your mouth, but definitely enjoy the view.
Oh, I will.
Thanks, Heather. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather.
Glad you made it here. And Jane,
Hi. Yeah, I was going to say, enjoy the ride, but we've got a little bit of a story. I'll try and say it quickly. But we sold our house 2 years ago. It was really difficult to sell, kept falling through. So we just decided to sell the house, regardless of whether we had anywhere to go. Just do it, just risk it. And then, so we did that. And then we got onto this whole house sitting thing. And we've been house sitting now for over 2 years and really enjoying ourselves. And the great thing for me is that, and actually we're booked up for a year now for house sits. But the great thing for me is that I had to trust every step of the way. And it was so good for me. And it just felt like an adventure, which I think life is an adventure.
yes.
I really enjoy it. It's not, you know, there's been challenges.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like easy peasy weasy, but it has all come easily. Anything that's a challenge was really just going on in my head, really, because it's been absolutely simple way of life. I'm just really grateful. And when we find somewhere to live, well, that will come too.
Well, it sounds like you've found many places to live.
Yes, West Country at the moment, which is lovely.
Oh, it's wonderful. I love that, Jane. Thank you so much for sharing. It's so great. And may the continued blessings of synchronicities continue to flow for you. It's just great. Thank you for hosting today, Sherry. It's always fun to volley the conversation with you. And I'll pass it back to you.
Oh, thank you, everyone. We will now have another song from the lovely Una.
Thank you, everyone. What rich, enlivening conversation and sharings. I was going to sing a song, but now I feel I have to sing another song just on what the contents of what everyone shared. And it's kind of sparked by what you said, Maureen, like love and or fear and love can't coexist. And fear is not synonymous or what's the word, helpful for life. So this is a song that came through last year when I was in that flow of synchronicity. I was on tour in Ireland. The blessings were just flowing and I was just open to receive with gratitude. And this song came through. So it's just for us to recognize that love is all there is. And once we can open up to that, then these chances and synchronicities flow. And there's nothing really we have to do. So it incorporates a mantra which is Om Namah Shivaya, and a beautiful translation of Om Namah Shivaya that my teachers have passed down is: with great respect and love, I honor my heart, my inner teacher. So I feel like if we can keep connected to that heart and those whispers of the heart, then chance is on our side. Seeing love, feeling love, being love. Seeing love, feeling love, being love. Seeing love, feeling love, being love. You can sing with me if you want. Seeing love, feeling love, being love. 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 Love is all there is. So open your heart and let it in. Love is all there is. So open your heart and let it in. Love is all there is. So open your heart and let it in. Love is all there is. So open your heart and let it in. Om Namah Shivaya. Shiva Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya. Shiva Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shiva Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shiva Namaha. Seeing love, feeling love, being love. 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 Love is all there is. Love is all there is. So open your heart and let it in. Love is all there is. Love is all there is. So open your heart and let it in. Om Namah Shivaya. Shiva Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya. Shiva Namaha. With great respect and love, I honor my heart, my inner teacher. With great respect and love, I honor my heart, my inner teacher. With great respect and love, I honor my heart, my inner teacher. With great respect and love, I honor my heart, my inner teacher. I honor my heart, my inner teacher. I honor my heart, my inner teacher. Seeing love, feeling love, being love. Seeing love, feeling love, being love. Seeing love, feeling love, being love. Seeing love, feeling love, being love.
Thank you. Thank you,
Om Namah
Una. So
Shivaya.
beautiful. So beautiful.
Thank
I
you.
want to thank everyone for being here today. I want to thank you all. I want to thank Una, everyone on the program. And as we close, let's remember the song, Love is All There Is. So have a beautiful and blessed and wonderful week. And we will see you all next Sunday, same time, same place. We love you. Bye.